translation of English for science and technology. And in today's session, we will learn the translation of passive voice in EST. First of all, let's have a look at its brief introduction. The voice is a form of a verb that expresses the relationship between the subject and the predicate. If the subject is the action takers, or if the action is not done by the subject but by others, the passive voice can be used. Because of their objectivity, clarification, abstraction, and other characteristics of science, EST also has objective characteristics. It describes the objective things and the process of its occurrence, development, and evolution. Therefore, the use of passive voice is more objective, more realistic, and more scientific. Okay, you've got a general idea about passive voice. Second, let's talk about the composition of passive voice. The fundamental composition is the linking verb be plus past participle. If you want to know the passive voice of different tenses, please see the following. In the table, the left column is tense, the right column is the composition. From the table, you have known clearly about the formation of passive voice of different tenses. Then you may be wondering, in which situations the passive voice can be used. Now, please go to the third point, the situations that passive voice is used. In general, passive voice is always used in the following three situations. Situation 1, when the doer of action is not known. Look at example 1. The house, which is quite old, was built in 1950. Situation 2, when the action and doer needs to be emphasized. Look at example 2. Situation 3, using the passive voice due to avoiding mentioning oneself or other party or because of the need for modification. Well, you know the above three situations in which the passive voice is usually applied. Do you know why the passive voice is widely used in EST? Let's talk about the fourth point, reasons for widely using the passive voice in EST. Usually, there are several reasons. Reason 1, the meaning of a sentence will be clearer and the information can be more accurate. Reason 2, EST focuses on describing objective facts, expounding the results of science and technology, as well as the process of experimental research and data. Reason 3, EST has its own unique features in sentence structure. From the above reasons, you'll see that the most obvious feature is the extensive use of passive voice in EST. Please see example 4. In example 4, there are only two sentences in which Three passive voices is found, cannot be determined, and must be carried out are used respectively. Since the extensive use of passive voice is one of the obvious features in EST, how to translate passive voice? Now, let's explore the translation methods of passive voice in EST. Method 1. The passive voice can be translated into the active voice in Chinese, and the words such as people or we can be added as the subject. Look at example 5, in which a good example is given to illustrate. Method 2. When the subject in the passive voice is an inanimate noun, then this sentence can be translated into an active sentence. Example 6 gives a good example to prove it. Method 3. Some passive sentences can be usually translated into non-subject sentences. Example 7 gives a good example to indicate it. Method 4. Some passive structures can be kept by using the words like 有被为什么什么所 during the process of EST translation. Example 8 gives a good example to suggest it. Method 5. Division of a predicate. In doing the translation of EST, the predicate of some passive sentences can be translated by using the method of division. Example 9 and 10 are given to show how to use it. Look at example 9 and 10. To sum up, 5 translation methods can be often used for dealing with the passive voice during the process of EST translation, and we need to apply them carefully and properly. In the next session, we will discuss the translation of attributive clauses in EST. Thank you. See you next time.